All right, today we are talking about lead generation, but not like the overwhelming kind, the good kind.
Is there a good kind?
Yes.
Actually, no, there is a good kind. I think a lot of times we talk about lead generation and we're like, oh, we get so overwhelmed by it. No one wants to do it and everyone dreads it. I think one of the bigger issues, though, is that we really don't talk a lot about what it is.
That's true. It's just a two-word like bad word, and it's just like, who? And people claim it, but that's my big thing is like I had to figure out what worked because it certainly was not the standard which works for some people.
Well, here's the thing. I think agents are going to get their leads and build relationships in a variety of ways. A lot of agents go with their sphere of influence. There are individuals who prefer to buy leads. Any way works.
All of them are right.
I do think there is a distinct difference between a realtor who is very transaction-based and realtors who are more relationship-based, which, frankly speaking, I kind of feel like is where our pocket is at
Yeah.
Keller Williams, at least where we train and try and build systems off of. It is more relationship-based. So I think if you can start thinking about lead generation as relationship building,
Yes.
you might feel more attracted to the idea of doing it consistently and just not feeling so like, oh, I'm just getting up to do a bunch of sales calls today.
Well, and the transactional thing, so many like tenured agents, like 20 years, like I'll talk to them and they'll say, like, oh, I don't make calls anymore. What are you talking about? They just come to me. Yes, because you built up. Even if you started transactional, at some point you're like, if I just throw them and just talk to them once in a while, then they just come to you and you realize that might be the easy button if there were to be an easy button in real estate. So I feel like if they don't start that way, they will, so that's how you retire, is building and taking care of that database. So today, that being said, we are going to cover 3 things that agents should focus on in February to generate more leads, create more relationships, and give you an action item that you can take today and implement.
All right, going back to am I being transaction-based versus am I being relationship-based? For me, just based on what we've learned through like the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and a lot of the trainings that we've been a part of for so many years, the reality is working with consumers, or if you want to call them clients, buyers, sellers, working with people, they do tend to be easier transactions. I do understand that it can be easier to just go and pay that lead aggregator a monthly fee or a referral fee just to get some leads. But long term, statistically speaking, it does make more sense to be relationship based. And when we do reference the teachings of, the MREA, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, we know our database is in 2 categories. You have your METs and you have your have not METs. Now, if you are actively and consistently communicating with those groups of people, one group is a much better return on investment, and that investment is time typically.
Yeah.
But with your METs, if you're consistently communicating with them, you're getting 2 transactions for every. There's a 12-to-2 conversion. If you are working solely or primarily with haven't METs, that's a 50-to-1 conversion.
You got to work a lot harder.
So right, and we'd all rather work a little smarter than smarter, not
Absolutely.
harder, right?
Yes.
Is that the right way?
Smarter, not harder.
I lost.
You did it right though.
I
It's
lost
fine.
the cliche. Work smarter, not hard.
You're nailing it. Quick
Sounded
question
weird.
yourself.
Okay, sorry. 12-to-2 versus a 50-to-1 conversion. Yes. We know that's an ideal.
Well, and even if you do use a lead aggregator, like I have no problem in where you get your leads as long as you are drumming up business, right? But as long as even if you're using those and you're paying for those, then they go in your database.
Right.
Then they became METs. So now we've casted that net, we've thrown them in the net, and no, they're not going to need to buy for the next, what is the average, like 7 years? But they're going to know someone that is. So then it becomes, for every person in there, that's 2 deals. One is a referral,
right,
and then one is going to be them when they need you again.
Right.
So when it comes to lead generation, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's still overwhelming, and I'm 10 years in, multiple roles doing it. And when they say, I mean, people are like, oh, you hit the phones and you cold call. That's how you lead generate. And that is like my biggest pet peeve, is that it doesn't have to look that way.
Yeah.
We always tend to overcomplicate it. and what it looks like to stay in a relationship, we overcomplicate. And that's the worst thing we can do, because it's like done is better than perfect a lot of times. And it's just about making that contact and making sure you're staying top of mind, because you don't know when they're going to need you. You don't know when they're going to hear somebody that needs you. Your job is just to stay in relationships so they know you're the person.
Yeah.
Like I remember I closed a deal with someone, and 5 years later they called me because they remember me telling them, if you need anything for your home, please let me be the first call. They needed a plumber because I had them set up, and I kept like, hey, spring cleaning, and like tips or whatever it was. And they knew that I was their person. That's your job in lead generation. The other thing is, I don't care what lead generation needs to look like. As long as you stand in the path of people and figure out how you're going to collect them and make sure they know that you're their person. You're a realtor. I was that person who wanted to lead generate any other way than cold calling. So I figured out how. And it would look like, make sure I had something on that said realtor. I would get in chats or conversations at stores. And then I made sure that we had that and solidified the point. Not in a bad, pushy, ugly way, but like it just naturally happened. Like, oh, what do you do? I'm a realtor. You got a house? You want one? Just not weird, but just making sure that you are collecting those people like Pokemon, like I've talked about before.
Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all, baby. And then you gotta put them on a follow-up play. But I think there's natural ways. And you mentioned today in the class you taught about database, where if any agent out there is interested, we have this awesome system, the Keller Personality Assessment. And it doesn't say, you're a genius or you're a psychopath. It literally just overlays your natural operating style in real estate, right? Or in the world. And we can use the Gary AI chat GPT style to figure out and analyze that, and then figure out what lead generation style is more natural for you, or which ones you should stay away from. But there are so many different ones. I think we overcomplicate it, and we think that there's only one way to do it, and I'm not good at it, and I just hate it.
Yeah, it's a lot of communication. I mean, if we go by the book, lead generation is you prepping a call list. It is you prepping your open house material for the week. It is you putting in notes from past conversations. It's you making new conversations. It is not just straight cold calling. And then when it comes to how you communicate with your database, I mean, ideally, you want to have multiple forms of contact information. Phone, email, and mailing address are the three. I would venture to say that with the way that society is now, we need to even look at social media as being a fourth communication piece.
Yeah.
And then you just find different pieces of value that you continue pouring into your database through those platforms.
Yes. And that's why I think getting clarity around what lead generation is or can be is the most important thing that we can do. That it doesn't have to fit in a little box. And there are tons of people that you can look to where they've done it 100 different ways. And that's one of my favorite things about KW is I can look at the way people did it.
Yeah.
Then maybe you're like, weird like me.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel each time.
Exactly. I can leapfrog and figure it out with them. So that's when I think one of the big things is overcomplicating it and just thinking there aren't options when there are tons.
Yeah. I think the challenge is when you don't have a good system, whether it be a lead gen system or an expense management system or whatever it is, your business will have a lot of roller coasters, a lot of up and downs, which you don't want. You want consistency with it.
And I will say the beauty of like our partnership and relationship is like you came in, created systems, and then we have an assistant that works with us who has put the not gutter guards. You know how like they make the bumpers around there to guide, guide like the little Freebird Libby to use the system. So it's about making systems work for you.
Sure.
It's not just about
Yeah.
having them. It's creating it so that it works for you.
There are best practices, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we say it again and again. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, obviously, that's what a lot of our teachings are off of because it's all based around running a highly successful real estate business. With systems, it just makes the work, honestly, it helps the work get done without you having to be the one always doing it aggressively. It can be more passive or behind the scenes. When we talk about categorizing your database into Mets and haven't Mets, Mets being people you've had two-way conversation with, there's rapport there's trust. Your haven't Mets, we're still building that. you will communicate with them on a different way.
Right.
Now your Mets, ideally you're putting them on what we call 36 touch. That is a way of communicating with them 36 times throughout the year in various ways. Again, we're leveraging the phone number, we're leveraging any more text messages too, but mailing address and email so that you have 3 ways to communicate, but 36 times a year. So again, it's phone calls, it's direct mail pieces, it's handwritten notes, it's event invites. And then your not Mets, the great system with that would be a 12 direct, having 12 pieces of content you're sending out once a month. Depending on what technology that your brokerage provides or what you have to buy for yourself, you do want to ensure that whatever CRM you're using has that built in. Because if you have to create that manually and create that new touch every single week or month or whenever it is, you will get burned out and you will eventually stop doing it.
Especially if you build a good sized database, which,
Yeah.
I mean, then think of how many that is. Like I used to do the folder system where I had the 30 days in the month and I knew who was in there, and then I had the next month in there, whatever. But with those systems now you can automate a lot of it. Not your phone calls and not like certain things, but you can automate a lot of that so it doesn't fall through the cracks. Because I think the problem is that we think we're gonna remember.
We have
And we
best
will
of intentions.
not remember. We love them and we care about them and we want to wish them a happy anniversary and we'll totally space. So relying on our own self is not it's not cool.
It's just not feasible for any human. It doesn't matter how organized you think you are. The more people you add to your database, eventually, people will fall through the cracks. Have to have that system running.
Yes. And to be honest, that's why a lot of people don't come back to use the same agent, even though they say, I would absolutely use them all the time. I love them pieces at closing. They forget who you are.
Right.
Because they weren't reminded constantly.
Yeah. You said earlier when we were talking about conversions with your Mets, it's a 12-to-2 conversion. And that 2 is the number of closings you'll get from every 12 contacts. 1 being a direct closing from them, and 1 is a referral. The hope is that your past clients refer you, which is really, really good. Here's the thing with referrals. You do have to ask for them. It sounds obvious that somebody who used you as their realtor will naturally send your name out to somebody else.
Yes.
But we also have to realize that we're not top of mind for every person every single day.
Just like they're not for us.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is why you build the lead gen system and the follow-up system. It doesn't matter if you closed a transaction with somebody yesterday. You're still going to stay in touch with them for the foreseeable future so that when the time comes that they do know somebody needing a real estate agent, that you are top of mind. I think the thing that realtors have to get a little bit clear on is that you do have to make it simple for the person to send you a referral. If they don't know how you want that referral, they won't do it. And I realize that sounds obvious, like, well, they'll just send it to me. But how do you want them to send it to you? Do you want them to email it to you? Do you want them to copy you on a text message? Do they want you to send them the contact card? Like, again, I realize that sounds super obvious, but they need to not have to think or stumble or struggle to figure out, oh, what's the best way to do this? I'll do it later.
That's
And
the
then they don't
killer
do
right
it.
there. So they will not do it. So you're so right. It has to be simple because it's one of those where it's in the moment. If they can do it and click a couple buttons, cool, it's done. If not, they're not. And I think, again, we overcomplicate things. We get in our own head. And the first thing is always like, well, they don't want to hear from me, or, well, I don't want to be pushy and ask them for a referral. They want to reward you for good service. So the key is to provide good service. But then it becomes they want to help you. People love helping other people. Like, oh, can I give you a review? I will absolutely do that. Yes, ma'am. So give good service and then ask for the stinking referral.
Yeah.
So I think the most important thing is we can take action. And I've probably said this before in this situation, but get the cart on the road.
Get the cart on the road.
Can you cut that?
Get the cart on the road.
I guess we should have just made it funny and I should have just fixed it and then it would have been more natural.
Really messed up the other one.
I seriously don't know why I blanked on that one.
And then you said it right and you still question your whole life.
It's like when you say a word too many times over and over, it stops sounding like that word. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
The cart before the horse? Is that what you were trying to go for?
No.
Oh, okay. Not at all?
No.
When they whisper, it really makes me nervous.
Me too.
I signed him to stop chewing his fingernails.
Oh.
I'm getting nervous over here.
Are you? Sorry.
Okay.
So I think the most important thing is take action right now. You might have been an agent for 10 years and not have been taking care of the people you know and love and have met or taken care of previously, but to take action right now. And I know we have talked about this before, but like done is better than perfect. Okay. I know Autumn and I have talked about this a lot too, and that's kind of how I roll, obviously. I'm like survival mode, let's go. But done is better than perfect. Throw the wheels on the cart, get it down the road. If it breaks down, then put them back on and we'll fix it then and just keep adjusting until it works for you. So I think one thing to do is start somewhere. Have your people and then take one action item where you make it a bite-sized piece. Start a DTD2 or do the database 2, which is 2 letters every week.
I have a last.
Those are the people you start with.
Yeah.
And first action item is get out of your head that they don't want to hear from you. Because that is where we all get held up.
They will if there's value.
That's the thing is, hey guys, I'm really working to make sure I'm taking care of my people. I want to make sure I have all your information right for this year. Easy peasy. They're going to help you out.
Don't overthink it.
No, just go and do it. Be big, brave, and bold and do it.
Well, what's the worst that can happen? They say no. You already don't have it, so what's it matter?
Yes, and they're not going to say no. And trust me, I talk to myself this same way because I am just like every other agent. But that's the key is just start somewhere. And the DTD2 is honestly what I've been thinking about. Like that means you're going to hit everybody in a systematic way. And I think one of the most important things we can do.
Yeah, I think if you're a newer agent too, and you're like, well, I don't have people. I don't know. I don't know who to even talk to. Use your phone. That would be my first action item for somebody who's newer is let's get these contacts out of your phone and into your CRM because that's the only way that you're going to start building that foundation is getting them into a database. And then if you are an agent who's been producing at a high level, I mean, we've got a couple resources that we've been sharing here recently. The DTD2 is fantastic. The Seasons of the Data Bank is really good if you're looking for tactical cleanup methods throughout the year. And then I would also say anyone who needs to add more names to their database, we've attended Bold as many times as we can, which is a great class that Keller Williams provides. But there is a kind of a cheat sheet on who is not in my database that should be. So it's a list of 200, not names, but 200 ideas of things or of people that you can add to your database because we can always use more people, right?
Always.
So I think those are some of my favorite tips.
And that's what, I mean, when you're reaching out to people, don't have like an agenda. Don't make it a sales call. Like, hey, want to buy a house? No, they want to help you because they know you. They love you, trust you, whatever.
Right.
So make it that. Have a meaningful conversation. Like, utilize social media. If you see somebody who's like just had a baby or whatever, be like, hey,
That's a
love
trigger.
that. Yeah, like there's these triggers. So we are so blessed in the time that we're doing real estate right now that we have a phone that has all of these contacts.
Right.
We have, social media where all of those are just people sitting there waiting. I've talked about going into Facebook jail. Yes, I did. And it was the best thing I've ever done. I went in Facebook jail every day while I was building my database and trying to get that going. I did. And I'm not ashamed of it either. But there are so many ways. We're so lucky to have all of these where we can reach out to masses. But it really comes down to, I think, what everything in real estate comes down to. And I think this is a key factor in everything we do in this business, and we could probably talk about in every video we do, is consistency.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, a good CRM will help you with the consistency. I know with the people that we communicate with and go into our database, we usually don't ever have someone in a true pipeline without a next task or next follow-up plan. Every conversation you have with somebody should have notes attached to it in the CRM. There should always be that next action item. And then there should always be that 36 touch or 12 direct running behind the scenes. You layer it together. And that will, as we were saying earlier, always lead into more referrals too, which is great.
And that's my tip for the creative fly by the seat of your pants that are on fire, kind of like me, is the biggest help that we did when we set up all of our systems for us to make sure we're contacting and staying in touch with our agents is having a section where I fill out what the next step is. Because then it immediately gets scheduled on my calendar and it takes me out of thinking. It's just going to be there on my calendar for that day, and that's that task.
Well, lead generation is much easier when you come into your whether it's morning lead gen or afternoon lead gen, and you have your tasks to do. You don't have to think
Yes.
about it.
That's why I think I like the DTD too so much, is that I don't have to worry about who I'm going to call today. Or I don't need to know who needs my quarterly care call
Yeah.
this week. I already know what
Right.
they need to hear from me. So simplifying it, and that's what systems do for us.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot of different actions and things to do, but here is your action today if you are listening to this right now. Okay. We want you to reach out to one past client. You need to have one meaningful conversation, and that does not necessarily have to be one where it's about selling a home. Just one meaningful conversation that moves a relationship forward. And then in turn, you're going to strengthen one relationship this week. So those are our action items to increase that relationship referral based business that I think a lot of people are working for.
Speaking of systems, a lot of times, like to your point earlier, we just get paralyzed with how do I do it? How do I get started? There is an AI class coming up that I know a lot of our agents are excited about. So an AI workshop, March 5th, that we are having as part of the Ohio Valley region. And in that workshop, because you'll walk away with a lot of really good information, you can start building some of those smart plans. You can start building some new follow-up plans. So March 5th in Columbus, Ohio, we have our AI workshop. So that'll be with Lauren Lucas, which is really exciting.
Yes.
And then honestly, whether it's you or whether it's somebody else that might be struggling with getting more referrals, growing their database, getting more leads, share this with them. Or reach out to us and allow us the time to maybe to sit down and consult a little bit and see, okay, where are the gaps in your business and how can we start providing some value so that you end this year better than last year.